can't make that deck! The future timeline will be changed forever!
Hello everybody, welcome back to The Lost Mine yet again for another post-rotation deck profile. Today we're doing the future, so kind of the opposite of the ancient deck we did first. Quite a few cards came out since we did the ancient deck profile that's really buffed this future deck as an archetype. And I'm pretty excited because it's got really high damage output, it's got spread, it's kind of got a lot of options, it's got good energy acceleration now finally, which it was missing before. And it's kind of just a whole complete package for this deck now that we've got the new set. There's quite a few new strong cards here. And the first one, this deck is going to be really adjacent to the Plasma archetype if you were playing back then. We've got 3 copies of Iron Crown EX. So we got Cobalt Command, the ability, your future Pokemon's attacks, except for Iron Crown so it doesn't work on itself, do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And we have Twin Shottles for Psychic, Colorless, Colorless. You're going to do 50 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. And it goes through effects, weakness, and a resistance, which is really nice because this is going to hit through Mana Fee. So if you do attack with the Twin Shottles, you could do 50 to 2 bench, or you could do 50 to the active, but it does hit through Mana Fee. So in conjunction with a Valiant Ping, we can be killing really small Pokemon like 7 HP Comphase, Mana Fees, Ralts, that kind of thing. So this is going to be a pretty strong spread attack, especially that since it does go through the Mana Fee. And this is also going to be buffing all of our other future Pokemon into doing quite a bit more. So we could be doing up to 60 extra damage, plus Valiant Pings, we could be doing 80. With a Future Booster, we could be doing up to an extra 100 damage, maybe even 120 with 2 Tachyon bits, but that's like a full bench, plus your only attacker in the active, so that's not really going to happen. But kind of built around the Iron Crown's EX here with the damage buffing, and then Iron Valiant, I kind of like to think of this as another Iron Crown EX in a different way, because at the worst you could just Tachyon bits the active. So we've seen Iron Valiant before. Every time you switch to the active with this, it does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. And then Laser Blade is going to be a really relevant attack here. Psychic, Psychic, Colorless, 200, you can't attack during the next turn with your Valiant. So this is kind of, at worst, doing 220, because you're going to move to the active, Tachyon bits can hit the active, and then you can 220 damage with it. We also have the Cobalt Command to boost us up, so this can be reaching up to like 280. What's the max this could hit? 20, 240, 260, 280, 300, maybe 320 with some previous Valiant Pings. Really small Valiant package here. It's going to help kind of add that spread option. But here are some of the new cards that have been released, like I think this was yesterday, 2 days ago, time of recording, not time of upload, but Accelerating Peak, we do 40 damage with Miraidon. How did I miss this did damage? Until this exact moment, I did not do this 40 damage. This is way better even than I thought. Accelerating Peak, search your deck to do basic Pokemon, or basic energy, attach them to your future Pokemon any way you like. So we're going to be doing a bit of chip damage. We're going to be doing, with the Cobalt Command, we can be doing up to 80 damage here, and then we're going to accelerate the energy to maybe even the Miraidon, or most of the time it's going to be to Valiant, to Iron Crown, to maybe Iron Hands we see later in the list here. But yeah, so we got Miraidon here is going to be excellent acceleration, and then it does have a 160 for Lightning, Psychic, so this could be pushed up to like 220 area with our Iron Crowns and such. We have 2 copies of Iron Valiant. It is possible you only need to be playing one of these, but Twin Lasers, I do like the spread option, kind of helps us with like the one prizer decks in conjunction with the Iron Hands later. Can be doing Twin Lasers 20 and then 20 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. So in conjunction with the Iron Crowns again and the Valiant, we can be doing like a maybe 80 to the damage, 20 to the bench, Tachyon bits, 20 again to the bench, and then Zen Blade, 120 for 3 during your next turn. This Pokemon can't use Zen Blade. Decent one prize attacker. There is another Iron Valiant that might be strong. I think it's 3 for 100 and then 100 more if you've played a future supporter or something like that. Have to throw that up on the screen. But Valiant's a good attacker, good one prizer. Possible we only need one of these. If I'm being honest, I did not realize that the Miraidon did damage, so you might only need one of these if you need the spread options. So, next attacker, our only other future Pokemon on the deck is 1 copy of Iron Hands EX with the Amp You Very Much. We've seen lots of this card. Taking extra prize cards is insane. In addition, with the spread and the high damage output we have with the Crowns and the Valiant, this deck can be pushing out a lot of damage, taking a lot of extra prize cards, and taking like snipe knockouts and extra prizes like mid-turn with Tachyon bits and the Twin Laser combination. So this deck just has a lot of angles to be coming from. Like we have high damage, extra prize cards, spread all in one deck. Then we play Radiant Greninja. We need to be getting energy and discard pile for our new Ace spec, which you'll be seeing later in the deck profile. And then we have 1 Squawk. Really good. This is going to be more of like a turbo pile, kind of similar to the Ancient deck. I don't think the Ancient deck was playing Squawk. Or no, it was. It's kind of just like the turbo, get energy in the discard pile. We want to be drawing into our ace spec earlier than later, and we want to just be getting those attackers flowing. Squawk can really help with that if you're missing a turn 1 supporter or just going first. Playing 4 copies of Research. This is going to be a really aggressive deck, so we want that dig. I was considering playing 4 Iono, but I think 3 Iono is going to be better than the 4th Research, and or 3 Iono, or 4 Iono 3 Research is what I meant to say. So I like this split instead of the inverse with 3 Iono 4 Research. Still good to have Iono. We can do late game Iono plus spread plays, maybe knock out 2 engine Pokemon or 1 engine Pokemon and then Iono in the same turn, which can be really strong. And then we do have 2 more copies of the Cryptomaniac, same as some of the other decks we've been testing for post-rotation. This card has just been really impressing me. Only real synergy we have for drawing into the cards here is going to be concealed cards plus maybe Squawk and Seize turn 1 if you're going second. But the Cryptomaniac mostly here is going to be really helping for Iono proofing, because it does, like I said before, stacks the cards to the top. Iono will make you draw those cards that you stacked, and then this deck you could be putting like your ace spec on the top, which is really strong, huge power spike turn with the reboot pod, and then you could be doing like ace spec plus boss on top to go ace spec, get the energy you need, and then boss for game. Or you can hit energy switch combos, maybe hit the Moonlight Shuriken. I'm playing some water energies in here as a potential option. So the Cryptomaniac can really just help you assemble combos that you wouldn't easily be able to find otherwise. 2 bosses orders. I thought about playing 3. We're not playing Prime Catcher here, obviously, because we can't, because we're playing the future ace spec. But boss is just going to really help, like with the Valiant 220ing like Vs, basic EXs, that kind of thing. It's just obviously good to have boss. Don't think you need 3 though, because we're kind of a spread deck a bit too, so that can kind of make up for the lack. Ball Search. We're playing 4 copies of Techno Radar. This card hasn't really seen play other than like a one of an Anti-Valiant, so if you haven't seen this before, I'll read it to you. You can use this card only if you discard another card from your hand, and then you search your deck for 2 future Pokemon, put them in your hand, shuffle your deck. So it's kind of our version of VIP Pass. It does help that this can discard energies, can discard dead cards in the late game that you don't need. Could be painful turn 1, but usually you'll find a card that you don't mind discarding. And then 4 copies of Nest Ball, very good consistency card. Gonna find any of our cards in our deck because we're only playing basics. For Switch Cart, we do have the mini Iron Valiant package, so with the future booster capsules, we can have the free retreat on the Valiant, and then the Switch Carts, we can sometimes get up to 2 pings a turn. Usually we're comfortable with 1 though. It's just kind of like, I find playing Valiant is just more versatile than playing like 4 Iron Crown, because you can move the damage as opposed to just having it on the active. And then we're playing 4 Energy Switch, so in conjunction with our new ace spec, which I will be revealing very shortly, we can energy switch all the energy around. And as well with the Miraidon, we are playing an experience share in addition to some town stores, so really helps just make our energy stay where we want them, helps us move the energy types around, and then really synergizes with our ace spec. So are playing an ancient card, interestingly. Earthen Vessel, discard a card, go get 2 basic energies. So kind of the Techno Radar of the ancient Pokemon. Really helps because we're playing 3 different energy types here to get the proper energy types we need, and then does help us get energy in the discard for the reboot pod, which is a new ace spec that's been revealed. That's a future card, and you attach a basic energy from your discard pile to each of your future Pokemon in play. So you have 6 Pokemon in play. This is an item that says attach 6 energies to your Pokemon, which is obviously very strong. So in conjunction with the energy switches, we can go, usually you'll be getting like 3 or 4 with this. So you go 3 or 4 in play, energy switch them around, and then you have that like really strong energy acceleration this deck was missing. It is kind of awkward if you prize your reboot pod. You can't Cryptomaniac for a prized card, but very frequently with Cryptomaniacing for this, you have it on the key turn. Really what's breathed some life into this deck. And then like I said, we've got 3 copies of Future Booster Capsule. This card is really good in this deck. We haven't really had a proper deck until this set's come out that's going to abuse this. But future Pokemon this card is attached to has no retreat cost. Its attacks do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So we have Crown, we have Valiant, we have this as modifiers. So we can very easily do plus 80 on our attacks, which is insane. Thinking of Amp pushing up into like the 200 range is really scary. We've been locked at like 130 with this with Zapdos. So having this as a like one-shotting more things with taking extra prize is really scary. 1 copy of Bravery Charm. Just being able to buff our Pokemon. Very nice to put this on hands sometimes, so you have the 280 pit point hands that's really hard to respond to. It's just really nice to have this on your 2 prizers to push them up into kind of like V-Star Stage 1 EX HP range that they wouldn't have otherwise. Helps to tank against like other feature decks that'll be doing 220 number. 220 is just like a really easy number to hit for some decks, and this pushes people out of it. And then we are playing one copy of Experience Share. I might like to try maybe cutting a future booster for another Experience Share, but having the free retreat with the Valiant package is just really important. So it's nice to have like a future booster on your Valiant, and then you put on an attacker, and then later game you have one for your next attacker. So having 3 is going to come up sometimes. But in the event that I find EXP Share is like too valuable, because the EXP Share really synergizes with Miraidon, you're going to get the 2 energies, and then Experience Share is going to keep the 3rd one in play. So it's just going to help you kind of charge up your Pokemon throughout the game, because if you're not using Reboot Pod, you prize it, it can be really tough to keep Pokemon powered up. So the EXP Share is going to really help with that. And then for Town Store is our Stadium. 2 copies of this. Once during your turn, you're able to search your deck for a Pokemon tool, put it in your hand. So we've got quite a bit of a box going here. We've got 3 different type of tools, 5 tools total. So the Town Store is just going to help us hit our tools when we need them. Unfortunately, we couldn't find like a way to play Sealstone in here, but there's just no Vs that I've really wanted to play. Maybe like a Luminion, but then again, you're playing 1 V, 1 Sealstone. It can get kind of tough. And then for energies, we're playing 6 Psychic, 3 Lightning, and 2 Water. It is possible the Water are not worth playing. This is kind of just an experiment I'm trying, seeing if it's like worth having the Waters, because 2 Waters with the 4 energy switch, we could theoretically Reboot Pod for 2 Water, energy switch, easy enough to find off Cryptomaniac, and then we can Moonlight Shuriken, which is 40 extra damage on the Crown's attack spreading, assuming they don't have Manaphy in play. So 3 Lightning is usually enough. Very frequently, not very frequently, but not for super often, you're going to attack with Miraidon's second attack, but you have the option of doing it. And then most of the time you need 1 for Amp or 2 for Arm Press. Arm Press can actually be a pretty strong 2-shotting attack now that we have the buffs of Crowns and Valiant. And then 6 Water, or 6 Psychic, sorry, is going to be our main one. Valiant's going to take 2, Crowns is going to use it, Valiant can use 2, and then it's just the most popular energy in your deck for attackers, so I'm comfortable playing more of this. Possible this should be like a 5-4-2, or just cutting for like maybe 2 more Lightnings, or it is possible you might want to play, I forget what it's called, Iron Leaves, maybe that's the future of Virizion. That card has an ability you can switch it to when it switches to the active, you can move as many energies from your board as you want, and it's a grass type that hits for 3 for 180, so that can be really good into Zard, and then it can kind of scoop all the energies off of your Reboot Pod turn when you don't have energy switches to hit. But the energy switch is really here just to synergize with the Reboot Pod, so I found that grass is not super needed for that Iron Leaves as of now, but maybe if you're struggling in the Charizard matchup, it might be worth playing that. But this has been the future deck, kind of the opposite of the ancient deck, which is kind of brute force. This is a bit more tricky. We're taking extra prize cards, like I said, spreading, and taking more like calculated knockouts as opposed to just shoving a big guy in the active and hoping it goes well. So you kind of have a bit more room to do some tricky plays here and spread some damage around. So I've been really liking the idea of this future deck. We're going to be doing a deck battle of ancient versus future. I think that'll be cool to see which new archetype is a bit stronger. So far, I'm kind of leading towards the ancient deck being the better of the 2, which is kind of against popular opinion. I just really like the bulk and damage output of those ancient Pokemon. But this has been The Lost Mine. It's been me, Landen, with our future deck here. Please expect more of these deck profiles and gameplay coming out soon. Please like, subscribe, comment if you enjoyed the video. If you would change anything, let me know in the comments. And this has been The Lost Mine. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you later.